For me, it wasn't a phone call in the middle of the night. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a little blue notification on my screen, and a video file that detonated my life. My girlfriend's big promotion? Yeah, it turned out she'd earned it on her back, not with her brain, and I was about to become the architect of her downfall. It all started, as these things often do, with a celebration. A big, obnoxious, champagne-fueled victory lap. My girlfriend, let's call her Maya, had just landed the promotion she'd been gunning for. Senior marketing director at one of the biggest tech firms in Silicon Valley. It was a huge deal. We're talking a corner office with a view of the bay, a salary that made my eyes water, and the kind of corporate clout she'd always craved. For weeks, our apartment had been a pressure cooker of ambition. Maya lived and breathed this promotion. Late nights at the office, endless streams of coffee, takeout boxes piling up by the door. I'd been her one-man support system, making sure she ate, listening to her rehearsed presentations until 3 a.m., telling her how brilliant she was. I believed in her, completely. So when she called me, screaming with joy from the office, I felt it too. I was so damn proud. I got it! I freaking got it! She'd shrieked into the phone. I could hear the pop of a cork in the background. I knew you would, babe, I'd said, a genuine, stupid grin plastered on my face. We're celebrating tonight. The expensive place. The one you love. And we did. We went to that ridiculously overpriced Italian place downtown, the one with the wine list thicker than a novel. Maya was radiant, electric. She talked a mile a minute about her new responsibilities, her vision for the department, the team she was going to build. She looked me in the eyes, her own sparkling with a mixture of champagne and triumph, and told me she couldn't have done it without me. I felt like the king of the world. The celebration spilled over into a party at her boss's house that weekend. A massive glass and steel monstrosity in the hills, the kind of place that quietly screams, "I'm richer than God." Her boss, a guy named Richard, was exactly what you'd expect. Late 40s, impeccably tailored suit, a Rolex that probably cost more than my car, and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. He oozed that slick, predatory charm that some people mistake for charisma. His wife, a woman who looked like she'd been sculpted from marble and sadness, floated around the edges of the party like a ghost. Richard made a big show of toasting Maya. He went on and on about her tenacity, her unrelenting drive, and her unique ability to connect with people. He draped an arm over her shoulder, a little too familiarly, I thought at the time. But I brushed it off. Office culture, I told myself. He was her mentor. This was a victory for both of them. I watched them laugh together, a little knot of something I couldn't name twisting in my gut. I squashed it down. This was her night. My job was to be the proud, supportive boyfriend. The Monday after the party was just normal. Tuesday was normal too, until about 2:15 p.m. I was at my desk, working on some graphic design project, headphones on, zoned in. A notification popped up on my screen, an email from a name I didn't recognize. The subject line was just one word: congratulations. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. There was no text in the body, just a single downloadable video file. The file name was a random string of numbers and letters. Probably spam, I figured. Some kind of phishing scam. My cursor hovered over the delete button, but something made me pause. That little knot in my stomach from the party was back. Call it a sixth sense, call it paranoia, I don't know. I downloaded the file. My heart started to thump against my ribs, a slow, heavy drumbeat of dread. I clicked play. The video was grainy, clearly filmed on a phone by someone trying to be discreet. It was dark, but I recognized the setting instantly. The back patio of Richard's mansion, illuminated by the soft glow of tiki torches and the distant lights of the city. The audio was muffled by the thumping bass of the party music. And then I saw them. Maya and Richard. They were standing close. Too close. His hand was on the small of her back. I could see her head tilted back, laughing at something he said. My breath caught in my throat. I told myself it was nothing. They were drunk, celebrating. But then he leaned in. His mouth found hers. It wasn't a quick congratulatory peck. It was deep, hungry, and Maya, she didn't just accept it. She kissed him back. Her hands went up around his neck, pulling him closer. The camera shook a little, as if the person filming was trying to get a better angle. They stumbled back, out of the main light towards a darker corner of the patio. The kiss broke, and I could hear her voice, a breathless little giggle that I knew so well.
Oh my God, Richard, we can't.
But her tone said the exact opposite. It was the voice she used when she was playing, when she was flirting.
No one's looking, everyone's inside.
His voice was a low rumble, thick with alcohol and something else. Something ugly. He pushed her gently against the wall of the house. His hands were everywhere, on her waist, in her hair, and hers were on him, unbuttoning his suit jacket. The video was only a minute and a half long, but it felt like an eternity. It ended abruptly with the sound of a door opening somewhere nearby, and the camera quickly pointing at the ground. The video player froze on the last frame, a blurry shot of the stone patio tiles. But the images were burned into my brain. The way his hand cupped the back of her head, the way she hooked her leg around his, the sound of her laugh. I sat there staring at my monitor. For how long, I have no idea. The world had gone silent. The music in my headphones was just a distant, tinny buzz. My blood felt like ice in my veins. It was a physical sensation, a deep, cellular cold that started in my chest and spread to the tips of my fingers. Shock. That's the first stage, right? A profound, numbing disbelief. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. This was a mistake, a deep fake, some kind of sick prank. But I knew it wasn't. I knew the way she moved, the sound of her voice. It was her. And the promotion, the late nights, the weirdly familiar way Richard had touched her at the party. It all clicked into place. The puzzle pieces I hadn't even realized were scattered on the table suddenly snapped together to form a picture of absolute betrayal. My pride curdled into something sour and hot in my stomach. The entire celebration, our expensive dinner, her heartfelt "I couldn't have done it without you." It was all a lie, a performance. And I'd been her cheering section, her standing ovation. The anger came next, a white-hot wave that washed away the cold. I wanted to smash something. I wanted to put my fist through my monitor. I wanted to call her and scream until my voice was raw. How could she, after everything, after 5 years together? We weren't just a couple. We were a team. We'd built a life together, planned a future, or so I thought. But what I found next, that's what truly pushed me over the edge. It wasn't just about the cheating, it was about the lie, the sheer, calculated audacity of it. And as I sat there shaking with a rage so pure it felt like a religious experience, a new thought began to form. A cold, clear, and utterly ruthless thought. She hadn't just cheated on me, she had used me. And Richard hadn't just taken advantage of a drunken employee. They had conspired. They thought they were smart. They thought they had gotten away with it. I thought the video was the worst part. I was wrong. So wrong. The worst part was what I was going to do next. The first hour after watching the video is a blur. I remember pacing my small home office, back and forth, like a caged animal. The email was still open on my screen, a glowing beacon of my own personal hell. My mind was a maelstrom of questions. Who sent this? Why? Was it a disgruntled colleague of hers? A jealous rival? Or maybe even Richard's ghost-like wife? The anonymity was almost as terrifying as the content itself. Someone else knew. Someone else was watching. My first instinct was primal. Confrontation. I imagined myself driving to her shiny new office, storming past the receptionist and playing that video on the giant screen in her new corner office for everyone to see. I pictured the look on her face, the color draining from it, the pathetic, stuttering excuses. The fantasy was delicious. It was also stupid, a momentary explosion that would give me a fleeting sense of satisfaction but ultimately achieve nothing. No, this required something more permanent. The rage was still there, a roaring furnace in my chest, but a layer of cold, hard clarity was beginning to crystallize around it. This wasn't just a crime of passion. This was a corporate conspiracy, a sordid little deal sealed with a kiss. Her promotion wasn't a reward for her hard work. It was a payment, a bonus for services rendered on a dark patio. And I, the supportive boyfriend, was just collateral damage, the chump who held her purse while she closed the deal. That thought, more than anything, is what focused me. My pain was secondary. My heartbreak could wait. This was about justice, or maybe just revenge. At that moment, the two felt like the same thing. I needed to think. I needed to breathe. I closed the laptop and walked out of the apartment. I just started walking, with no destination in mind, letting the city noise wash over me. The afternoon sun felt like an insult. The happy couples walking hand in hand, the laughing groups of friends. It was all a mockery. Have you ever felt that? That feeling of being completely detached from the world around you, like you're watching a movie of your own life? That's where I was, a ghost haunting my own skin. My feet eventually carried me to a small, dingy bar a few miles from my apartment, the kind of place where people go to be invisible. I sat at the bar and ordered a whiskey, then another. The burn in my throat was a welcome distraction from the burn in my chest. I pulled out my phone. I stared at her picture on my lock screen. Us, smiling, on a beach in Mexico last year. She looked so happy, so genuine. Was that a lie too? Was any of it real? I had to know more. The video was damning, but it was just one piece of the puzzle. What else was I missing? How long had this been going on? That's when I remembered her laptop, her work laptop. It was always with her, a sleek, silver extension of her own ambition. But she also had an old personal laptop, a MacBook she hadn't used in over a year, tucked away in the back of our shared office closet. She'd forgotten about it, but I hadn't. I remembered the password. It was our anniversary. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. I paid for my drinks and walked back home, a grim sense of purpose solidifying with every step. The apartment felt different now, tainted. Every picture of us on the wall felt like a prop from a play. I went straight to the closet and pulled out the old laptop. It took a few minutes to boot up, the fans whirring protest. I typed in the password, 80814, August 14th, the day we met. The screen flickered to life. Her email was still logged in. My hands were shaking as I clicked on the mail icon. I started searching. I searched for Richard's name. The first few emails were professional. Meeting minutes, project updates, quarterly reports. Boring. I started scrolling back, further and further, months back. And then I found it. An email thread from 6 months ago. The subject line was Re-Q3 projections. But the content had nothing to do with projections. It started innocently enough. A late-night email from him praising a presentation she'd given.
Maya, you absolutely killed it today. The board was blown away. You have a rare talent.
Her reply came just minutes later.
Richard, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I was so nervous.
Don't be. You're a star. We should grab a drink sometime to celebrate your inevitable rise.
I'd like that.
The thread continued. The drinks happened. The tone shifted. It became more personal, more familiar. They started using their personal emails. He talked about his unhappy marriage, his ice queen of a wife. She talked about feeling stifled, about her immense ambition. They were stroking each other's egos, building a pathetic little world of two where they were the misunderstood geniuses. Then came the hotel receipts, scanned and saved in a folder labeled Expenses. The Ritz-Carlton, the St. Regis, all booked under his name on dates when she had told me she was at a work conference in another city. The lies were meticulous. She'd sent me pictures of conference rooms and boring PowerPoint slides she'd pulled from Google Images. She called me from her hotel room, complaining about the bad room service, while she was probably lying in bed next to him. The rage was back, but it was different now. It was cold and sharp, like a shard of glass. This wasn't a one-time drunken mistake at a party. This was a calculated long-term affair. The promotion wasn't a bonus. It was the end goal. She had slept her way to the top, and she had used me as her cover story, her alibi, her emotional support animal. Drop a comment below if you've ever been in a situation like this. I honestly need to know I'm not alone in feeling this kind of betrayal. I kept digging. In a drafts folder, I found an email she had written but never sent. It was addressed to her best friend, a woman named Olivia. It was a long, gushing confession. And the crazy thing is, I don't even feel guilty about Mark, she had written, referring to me. He's sweet, you know? He's reliable. He's a comfortable sweater. But Richard, he challenges me. He sees my potential. He's a man who takes what he wants, and he wants me. Is it so wrong to want more than just comfortable? He's already talking about the senior director role, Liv. He thinks I'm perfect for it. This could change everything for me. A comfortable sweater. That's what I was to her. Something to keep her warm until something better came along. The dehumanization of it, the casual cruelty, was breathtaking. That was it. That was the moment the last shred of love I had for her died. It wasn't a loud death. It was a quiet, final click, like a lock snapping into place. The part of me that had wanted to scream and cry and demand answers just went silent. In its place was a chilling calm. I knew exactly what I had to do. This wasn't just about exposing an affair anymore. This was about dismantling a house of cards built on lies and manipulation. They had leveraged their power and deceit to get what they wanted. I was going to use the one thing they'd forgotten about, the truth. I saved everything. The emails, the hotel receipts, the unsent draft. I created a new folder on a thumb drive and named it Judgment Day. I added the video file to it. I looked at the collection of files, a digital monument to their treachery. It was perfect. But sending it just to the board of directors felt incomplete. It would ruin their careers, yes, but it wouldn't touch the core of their arrogance. Richard would probably get a golden parachute. Maya would get fired, but she'd spin some story. No, this needed a more personal touch. Richard had a wife, the sad, elegant woman from the party. She deserved to know who she was married to. She deserved to know why her husband was booking suites at the Ritz on Tuesday afternoons. I did a little digging, a few simple searches, and I found her, a public Instagram profile. Pictures of their two perfect children, their perfect golden retriever, their perfect vacations in Tuscany, a perfect life, all of it a lie. And in her bio, her personal email address. The plan began to form in my mind, a beautiful, terrible symphony of destruction. I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to burn their whole world to the ground. And I was going to use their own words and actions as the kindling. The next part of this story is where things get truly insane. So if you're not subscribed, now's the time. You don't want to miss what happens next. I waited for Maya to get home. I sat on the couch in the dark, the thumb drive in my pocket feeling as heavy as a stone. I needed to see her. I needed to look her in the eye one last time and see if I could find even a flicker of the woman I thought I loved. Or if it was all just a mask. When she finally walked in, flushed with the success of her new job, she was a whirlwind of energy and excitement.
Babe, you will not believe the day I had. I've already got the team putting together a new campaign strategy. Richard is giving me total control. It's a dream come true.
She dropped her designer bag on the floor and came over to kiss me. I didn't move. I just looked at her. "What's wrong?" she asked, her smile faltering for a second. "You're being weird." I stood up. I didn't say a word. I just walked into the office and opened my laptop. I clicked on the video file. I turned the screen towards her, and I pressed play. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by the tinny, muffled audio from my laptop speakers. The sounds of the party, the low thud of the bass, and their hushed, damning words filled our apartment. I watched her face. It was a fascinating, horrifying spectacle, a masterclass in emotional collapse, played out in real time. First, there was confusion, a slight furrow of her brow as she tried to process what she was seeing. Her eyes darted from the screen to me and back again, as if I were performing some kind of magic trick. Then recognition dawned, and the confusion was replaced by a wave of sheer, unadulterated panic. The color drained from her face, leaving her skin a pale, waxy canvas. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. She looked like a fish gasping for air. The video played on. The kiss, the stumbling into the shadows, her breathless, fake protest.
Oh my God, Richard, we can't.
Her eyes finally locked on mine. And in them, I saw it all. The guilt, the fear, but beneath it all, something else. The frantic whirring of a mind racing, calculating, trying to find a way out, trying to find the right lie. The video ended. The screen went black. I closed the laptop with a soft, final click. She finally found her voice. It was a weak, trembling thing.
Mark, where did you get that?
That was her first question. Not, I'm so sorry. Not, how could I do this to you? But where did you get that? The question of a criminal who's been caught. She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry I knew. Does it matter? I asked, my own voice eerily calm. The storm inside me had passed, leaving behind a cold, desolate landscape. It looks like you and Richard were having a great time celebrating your promotion. A little too great, maybe.
It's not what it looks like.
The classic line, the last resort of the guilty. I almost laughed. It's not what it looks like, I repeated, the words dripping with a sarcasm so bitter it tasted like acid in my mouth. Really, because it looks like you, my girlfriend of 5 years, kissing your boss. It looks like you letting him push you up against a wall. It looks like you, Maya, throwing away everything we had for a corner office and a pay raise. She started to cry then, big theatrical tears that rolled down her cheeks. A few weeks ago, that sight would have broken my heart. Now it did nothing. I knew it was a performance. She was playing the victim.
It was a mistake, a stupid, drunken mistake. I was celebrating. I had too much champagne. He came on to me. It just happened. It meant nothing, Mark, I swear.
It meant nothing. I walked over to the desk and picked up the thumb drive. I held it up between my thumb and forefinger. So I guess the hotel rooms meant nothing too. The Ritz, the St. Regis, were those all drunken mistakes as well? Or were they just really, really long work conferences? The crying stopped. Instantly. Her face went from feigned remorse to cold, hard fury. The mask had slipped. I had called her bluff.
You went through my things? You spied on me? What the hell is wrong with you?
The audacity of it was stunning. She was the one who had conducted a secret, months-long affair to climb the corporate ladder, who had lied to my face every single day, and I was the one with something wrong with me. What's wrong with me? I finally let the anger rise in my voice. It wasn't the hot, explosive rage from before. It was a controlled burn. What's wrong with me is that I believed you. I trusted you. I spent months supporting you, cheering for you, telling everyone how proud I was of my brilliant, hardworking girlfriend. I was your goddamn alibi, Maya. While you were screwing your boss for a promotion, I was at home, eating the crappy takeout you were too busy to eat, thinking I was the luckiest guy in the world. So yeah, I went through your things. And you know what I found? I found out that our entire relationship, this entire life, is a complete and utter fraud. I threw the thumb drive on the coffee table. It landed with a small plastic click. I found your emails, your love notes to Richard. I found the draft you wrote to Olivia about how I'm your comfortable sweater. That was a nice touch, by the way. Really poetic. She just stared at me, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She had nothing left. No lies, no excuses. She was cornered.
So, what are you going to do? Ruin my life after everything I've worked for?
There it was. Not a shred of remorse for what she'd done to me, to us. Only fear for her own ambition. Her career was the only thing that mattered. You say that like you didn't just ruin mine, I said quietly. You worked for it? Is that what you call it? Seducing a married man in a position of power? That's not ambition, Maya. It's corruption. It's pathetic. I walked over to the closet and pulled out a suitcase. I started opening drawers, pulling out my clothes and throwing them in. I was a machine, moving with a detached efficiency. Every t-shirt, every pair of jeans I packed was another severed tie. She followed me into the bedroom, her voice rising with desperation.
Mark, please, don't do this. We can fix this. I'll quit my job. I'll never see him again. I love you. Please, I love you.
I stopped packing and turned to face her. The words "I love you" sounded obscene coming out of her mouth. "No, you don't," I said, my voice flat. "You don't love me. You love the idea of me. You love the support, the stability, the comfortable sweater that keeps you warm while you're out hunting for bigger and better things. You don't love anyone but yourself, and Richard doesn't love you either. He's just a predator who found an easy target. You two deserve each other." I zipped up the suitcase. It was done. I was done. "I want you out of this apartment," I said. "My name is on the lease. You have until the end of the week to get your things."
Where am I supposed to go?
She whispered, the fight finally gone out of her. "I don't know, Maya," I said, walking toward the door. "Go stay at the Ritz. I hear it's lovely this time of year." I walked out of the apartment and didn't look back. I got in my car and just drove. I ended up at my friend Will's place. He opened the door, took one look at my face and the suitcase in my hand, and just pulled me into a hug.
Dude, what happened?
We stayed up half the night. I told him everything. I showed him the video. I read him the emails. He just listened, his expression growing darker with every new detail. He wasn't the kind of friend to offer empty platitudes. He was the kind to get angry on your behalf.
She's a sociopath, man. And him? He's a pig. What they did is... It's not just cheating. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Hostile work environment, quid pro quo, abuse of power. You name it.
"I know," I said, staring into my beer. "That's the thing. It's bigger than me. It's not just about my broken heart. It's about the fact that they think they can get away with it."
So what's the plan? You have all the evidence. You could destroy them.
I looked at him, and for the first time since that notification popped up on my screen, I felt a flicker of something other than pain or rage. It was power, cold, clear, and absolute. "Oh, I know," I said, "and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I wasn't just going to leave her. I wasn't just going to expose an affair. I was going to be the karma she and Richard never saw coming. They had built their careers on lies. I was going to tear it all down with the truth, and I was going to enjoy every second of it. The confrontation was over. The war was just beginning. The next 2 days were a blur of logistics and cold, calculated planning. I crashed on Will's couch, ignoring the flood of frantic texts and voicemails from Maya. They were a pathetic mix of tearful apologies, angry accusations, and desperate pleas. I deleted them all without listening. It was just noise. My focus was singular. I treated it like a work project. Project Armageddon. I bought a new burner phone and a prepaid data plan. No loose ends, no digital trail leading back to me. From a sterile coffee shop halfway across town, I created a new anonymous email address. Something bland and corporate sounding. Concerned.shareholder84 proton mail. Calm. Perfect. My target list was precise. First, the board of directors. I spent hours on the company's investor relations website and on LinkedIn compiling a list. I found all 7 of them, including the chairman of the board. I cross-referenced their names to find their direct corporate email addresses. Next, the executive team. Everyone on the C-suite, the CEO, the COO, the chief financial officer, and, most importantly, the head of human resources. They all went on the list. And finally, the crown jewel, Richard's wife. I already had her email address from her Instagram bio. Her name was Catherine. I looked at her profile again. A recent picture showed her and Richard at some charity gala, smiling for the cameras. He had his arm around her. The hypocrisy was nauseating. She deserved to know. She was a victim in this, just as much as I was, maybe more. She had built a family with that man. I spent an entire afternoon crafting the emails. I wrote 2 versions. The first was for the corporate targets. It was professional, detached, and utterly damning. The subject line was urgent, unethical conduct and potential legal exposure regarding Richard Sterling and Maya Vance. The body of the email was concise. To the members of the board and executive team, it has come to my attention that a senior executive, Mr. Richard Sterling, VP of Global Marketing, has engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate employee, Ms. Maya Vance, whom he recently promoted to the position of Senior Marketing Director. This relationship represents a severe breach of corporate ethics, a gross abuse of power, and opens the company to significant legal and financial liability, including but not limited to claims of sexual harassment, hostile work environment, and quid pro quo. Attached for your review is a collection of evidence documenting this long-term affair, including video evidence of their conduct on company-sanctioned property, email correspondence of a personal and sexual nature, receipts for hotel stays falsified as business expenses. This evidence strongly suggests that Ms. Vance's promotion was not based on merit, but was a direct result of her sexual relationship with her superior. I trust you will take this matter with the seriousness it deserves and conduct a swift and thorough investigation. Sincerely, a concerned shareholder. It was perfect. It was impersonal. It didn't mention me or my pain. It spoke their language. Liability, risk, legal exposure. It was a corporate hand grenade with the pin pulled. The second email, the one to Catherine, was harder to write. I didn't want to be cruel. I wanted to be factual. She didn't deserve a long emotional diatribe. She deserved the cold, hard truth. The subject line was simple. Your husband. Catherine, I am writing to you because I believe you have a right to know the truth about your husband, Richard. I know this will be painful to see, but you deserve to know what he has been doing when he's supposedly on business trips or working late. The attached files contain incontrovertible proof that he has been engaged in a long-term affair with a subordinate at his company, a woman named Maya Vance. He recently gave her a major promotion. I am truly sorry to be the one to tell you this. Sincerely, someone who knows. I read both emails over and over, checking for any hint of my own identity, any emotional tells. There were none. They were clean, sterile, instruments of pure destruction. Then I assembled the package. I created a secure, password-protected folder on a cloud service. Inside, I uploaded everything. The video, the email threads saved as PDFs, the hotel receipts, the gushing unsent draft to her friend Olivia. I made sure the video file was named Sterling Vance Company, party.mp4 for maximum impact. I named the folder Evidence RSMV Affair. In each email, I included the link to the folder and the password. It was all ready. The digital bomb was assembled. All I had to do was press send. I sat there in that anonymous coffee shop, my finger hovering over the mouse. This was the point of no return. The moment I clicked this button, lives would be shattered. Careers would end. A marriage would likely be destroyed. For a split second, I hesitated. Was this too much? Was this a level of vengeance that was, itself, monstrous? Then I thought of Maya's face when she called me a comfortable sweater. I thought of Richard's slick, self-satisfied smile at the party. I thought of the 5 years of my life I had invested in a lie. The hesitation vanished. They had made their choices. Now it was time for the consequences. I took a deep breath. Click. I sent the first email to the board and the executives. Click. I sent the second email to Catherine. It was done. I closed the laptop, packed it away, and walked out of the coffee shop. I dropped the burner phone into a trash can on the way out. The evidence was out there, multiplying on servers, appearing in inboxes. The chain reaction had begun. I felt a strange sense of calm. There was no elation, no triumphant joy, just a quiet, hollow feeling, a sense of finality. I had burned the bridge and salted the earth behind me. I went back to Will's place.
You do it?
I just nodded.
How do you feel?
Emptied, I said, and it was the truth. But clean. We didn't talk much more about it that night. We ordered a pizza, put on a stupid action movie, and tried to pretend it was a normal evening. But it wasn't. We were both just waiting for the explosion. It didn't take long. The first tremor hit the next morning. It was around 10 a.m. I got a notification from LinkedIn. Maya Vance has updated her profile. I clicked on it. Her job title, Senior Marketing Director, was gone. Her entire position at the company had been scrubbed. It just listed her end date as present. It was happening. An hour later, Will, who worked in the same industry, got a text from a friend who worked at Maya's company.
Holy crap, dude. Listen to this.
He read the text aloud. You will not believe what is going on here. All hell has broken loose. Richard Sterling and that new director, Maya, were just frog marched out of the building by security, like carrying their little boxes of stuff and everything. Rumor is there was some huge scandal. HR is holding an emergency all-hands meeting for the marketing department this afternoon. It's insane. Frog marched out. The image was so vivid, so satisfying. I couldn't help but smile. Not a happy smile, but a grim, vindicated one. The online fallout was swift. By the end of the day, an internal memo had been leaked to a tech industry blog. VP Richard Sterling and Director Maya Vance, no longer with the company, amidst internal investigation. The comments section was a cesspool of speculation and gossip, but the real confirmation came from Maya herself. That evening, she showed up at Will's apartment. I saw her through the peephole, looking disheveled and wild-eyed. I didn't open the door. She started banging on it, her voice hysterical.
Mark, I know you're in there. You did this. You ruined my life. You bastard. You couldn't just leave. You had to destroy everything. I hate you.
Her screaming devolved into sobbing. Will and I just sat there in silence, listening to the raw, unfiltered sound of a life imploding. It was a horrible sound, but I felt nothing. No pity, no remorse. It was the sound of justice. Eventually she gave up. Her footsteps receded down the hall. The final piece of the puzzle came 2 days later. I got an email. It was from an unknown address, but the sender's name was Catherine Sterling. My heart hammered in my chest as I opened it. It was short. I don't know who you are or why you sent me that, but thank you. You have given me the one thing no one else would. The truth. I've filed for divorce. That was it. I had done it. I had burned their world to the ground. Richard had lost his job, his reputation, and now his family. Maya had lost her dream job, her reputation, and her comfortable sweater. They were left with nothing but the ashes of their own ambition and deceit. It was a total, comprehensive victory. So why didn't it feel like one? The weeks that followed were strange. They were quiet. After the initial chaotic explosion, the dust settled, leaving behind a new, stark reality. The storm of my anger and vengeance had passed, and I was left standing in the wreckage, trying to figure out who I was now. I moved out of Will's place and found a small new apartment on the other side of town. A blank slate. The process of unpacking my old life into new spaces felt symbolic. I threw out a lot of things. Photos of me and Maya, gifts she'd given me, souvenirs from trips we'd taken. Each item I tossed in the trash felt like a small act of liberation, a severing of another thread that connected me to that life. The story of Richard and Maya became a cautionary tale in the Silicon Valley gossip mill. I'd hear whispers of it from Will and other friends in the industry. Richard had apparently lawyered up, but the evidence was so overwhelming that the company had just paid him a small, insulting severance to sign an NDA and disappear. He'd put his massive house in the hills up for sale, a divorce fire sale, according to the real estate blogs. He was radioactive. No company would touch him. Maya, from what I heard, had it even worse. She had no golden parachute. She was a mid-level employee who had committed a cardinal sin. Her name was Mud. She'd moved back in with her parents in Ohio. The brilliant, ambitious, rising star had flamed out spectacularly. She tried to rebrand herself on LinkedIn as a freelance marketing consultant, but I doubt she got many clients. Our world, the one she had tried so desperately to conquer, was a surprisingly small one. Reputations once shattered are not easily repaired. Sometimes, late at night, I would wonder if I had gone too far. The cold, methodical nature of my revenge felt alien. It wasn't the passionate, impulsive act of a heartbroken man. It was the calculated strike of an executioner. I had systematically dismantled two people's lives. I had weaponized the truth. And a part of me, the part that still believed in grace and forgiveness, felt a disquieting chill at my own capacity for ruthlessness. But then I would remember. I'd remember the casual cruelty in her unsent email. A comfortable sweater. I'd remember the 5 years of my life I had poured into her, my love and support serving as nothing more than a convenient cover for her affair. I'd remember the utter lack of remorse in her eyes during our confrontation, the way her only concern was for her own career. And the disquiet would fade, replaced by a grim certainty. I had done what needed to be done. They didn't deserve my grace. They had earned their consequences. My own life began to slowly piece itself back together. I threw myself into my work. My design projects became more intricate, more ambitious. The creative energy that I had once poured into supporting her, I now poured into myself. I started going to the gym again. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected. I was rediscovering the person I was before I became Maya's boyfriend. About 6 months after it all happened, I was at a coffee shop, the same one where I had launched my digital attack, ironically enough. I was sketching in a notebook when a woman's voice broke my concentration.
Excuse me, is this seat taken?
I looked up. She was probably in her late 40s or early 50s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. I recognized her instantly, though I had only seen her once. It was Catherine, Richard's now ex-wife. My blood ran cold. My mind raced. Did she know? Had she somehow found out who I was? I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost. "No, it's all yours," I managed to stammer. She sat down, placing her laptop on the table. She glanced at me and her smile faltered. There was a flicker of recognition in her eyes, but she couldn't quite place me.
I'm sorry, do I know you? You look familiar.
My heart was pounding. This was it, the moment of reckoning I hadn't prepared for. I could lie. I could say no and quickly leave. But I was tired of lies. I was tired of anonymity. "We haven't met, not formally," I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. "I was at your house for a party, back in the spring." Her expression changed. The gears were turning. The party. Maya's promotion party.
You were with her.
It wasn't a question. I just nodded. I was. We sat in silence for a long moment. It wasn't awkward. It was heavy. We were two strangers, bound together by a shared betrayal, two survivors of the same shipwreck. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft.
It was you, wasn't it? The email.
I took a breath. "Yes," I said. "It was me." She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time. There was no anger in her eyes, no judgment, just a profound, weary understanding.
I'm not going to ask you why. I think I know, but I do want to say thank you. It was a brutal gift, but it was the truth, and it set me free.
She told me a little about her life now. The divorce was finalized. She'd kept the house. The kids were doing okay, all things considered. She had gone back to work, her old career in landscape architecture that she had given up to raise a family. She seemed lighter. The sad, ghost-like woman from the party was gone. In her place was someone who was bruised, but whole.
He destroyed a lot of things,
She said, looking out the window.
but he's not going to destroy my future.
We talked for almost an hour. Not about them, but about everything else. About work, about the city, about bad coffee and good books. It was surprisingly normal. When she left, she put a hand on my shoulder.
I hope you find your own peace.
She said, and then she was gone. Her words stuck with me. Peace. Was that what I was looking for? I had sought justice. I had achieved revenge. But peace was something else entirely. It wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. Looking back now, I don't regret what I did. Not for a second. I believe in consequences. I believe that people should be held accountable for their actions. Maya and Richard built a world on deceit, and it was a world that deserved to collapse. But I also learned something about myself in the process. I learned that I have a core of steel I never knew existed. I learned that betrayal can forge you into something harder, sharper, but also, hopefully, something wiser. My story isn't a happy one. There's no fairy tale ending where I meet the perfect girl and everything is wonderful. My story is about endings. It's about the brutal, painful, necessary end of a lie. And it's about the quiet, uncertain, but hopeful beginning of what comes next. I'm still figuring that part out. But for the first time in a very long time, the future doesn't feel like something that's happening to me. It feels like something I get to build for myself. And this time, I'm building it on a foundation of truth. Outro music begins to fade in. So that's my story. It's messy, it's ugly, but it's real. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. It's not easy to talk about this stuff, but sometimes you just have to get it out there. If you have a story of your own about betrayal or getting your own kind of justice, I genuinely love to hear it in the comments. It helps to know you're not the only one. And hey, if you want to follow along on my journey of rebuilding, hit that subscribe button. I think this is just the beginning. Thanks for watching.